Don't punish skier Eileen Gu, fix the market that lost her. Congress should be asking why the U.S. doesn't have a structural mechanism to support its Olympic athletes, and what would it take to build one? Eileen Gu closed her Olympic career in Livigno, Italy, with 6 medals across 2 games, becoming the most decorated freestyle skier in Olympic history. While her fans celebrated, U.S. Representative Andy Ogles, Republican Tennessee, introduced the Olympics Act, naming Gu personally in his press release, proposing a 100% levy on all income earned by American citizens and green card holders who compete for China, Russia, Iran, or North Korea. Had Gu represented the United States, her 3 medals at these games would have paid her roughly $82,500. China paid her $6 million in 2025 alone. That gap is not a story about citizenship or loyalty. It is a story about market failure. As an economist and a Chinese-American raising a competitive figure skater here in northern Minnesota, where ice and snow sports are a way of life, I find myself arriving at the same decision Eileen made. In a sports economy that has never been designed to compensate non-marketized athletes correctly, Eileen Gu simply found a way to correct it. The Olympics Act would not fix that market. It would punish the athlete who exposed it. Standard labor economics holds that workers are compensated at the value of their marginal product. This works for marketized sports, the NBA, the NHL, where professional leagues convert athletic performance into broadcast revenue and ticket sales. For Olympic athletes in non-marketized sports, freestyle skiing, bobsled, curling, biathlon, it does not. They sustain the same injuries. They sacrifice the same years of their youth. But their labor has no market value until every 4 years when the rest of us briefly pay attention, then forget again. Winning an Olympic gold medal pays $37,500 from the U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Committee. The cost of reaching that level runs well into 6 figures over a career. I track this cost structure firsthand. My daughter figure skates competitively in Minnesota, and what began at $500 a year has grown to over $5,000 annually, approaching $150,000 if she competes through age 18. The probability of recovering that investment? Effectively 0. We do it because she loves the sport, but if she were ever talented enough to face the choice Eileen faced, I would tell her the truth. The world is not going to pay you fairly for loving a sport. So know your worth. Use the assets you have. Gu brought rare assets to this broken market: world-class talent, native fluency in English and Mandarin, a Stanford education, and cultural credibility in the 2 largest consumer markets in the world. China's decision to recruit her was equally rational. Beijing needed to build a winter sports ecosystem quickly ahead of hosting the 2022 Olympics, and recruiting established overseas athletes was far more efficient than developing talent from scratch. The Wall Street Journal reported Gu and fellow American-born Zhu Yi received a combined $6.6 million from the Beijing Municipal Sports Bureau in 2025. No other Chinese winter athlete comes close to that figure. It was not a labor wage. It was an exclusivity contract, payment for the right to claim her gold medals as China's. American sports governance has no mechanism to identify a contestable world-class talent and offer a retention contract. Gu chose to use 7 years of her peak athletic performance to build financial security and a career that will outlast her skiing by decades. She did it with extraordinary talent, discipline, and a bilingual fluency her mother deliberately cultivated. She is a young woman who looked at a system designed to undervalue her labor and found a better deal. What Congress should do instead? Ogles did not frame the Olympics Act as tax policy. He framed it as punishment. Being American is a privilege, and anyone who openly mocks that privilege on the world stage must be punished, and naming Gu personally in his press release. When legislation uses the word punished in its own justification, it has ceased to be policy. It is institutional embarrassment in legislative form. The House Ways and Means Committee should reject it and ask the right question instead. Why doesn't the United States have a structural mechanism to support its Olympic athletes? And what would it take to build one? UK Sport pays elite athletes in non-marketized sports between £15,000 and £28,000 annually through its Athlete Performance Awards. Norway provides roughly 250 elite athletes a comparable annual stipend alongside national training facilities. Both nations treat Olympic athletes as providing a public good, the way we treat diplomats and soldiers, and fund them accordingly. Eileen Gu did not create the market failure that made her decision rational. She simply refused to absorb it. The athletes who deserve Congress's attention are not her, but the thousands who are training to become the next gold medalist right now at personal expense, in rinks and on slopes across Minnesota and everywhere else, with no institutional advocate and no path to recover their costs. The Ways and Means Committee has a choice: build a system worthy of those athletes, or keep punishing the one who noticed it was broken. Josefina Y. Lee, Ph.D., is adjunct professor of economics and assistant director of international programs at Bemidji State University. Don't punish skier Eileen Gu, fix the market that lost her. When Eileen Gu won gold at the 2022 Beijing Winter Olympics, she did more than put herself on the podium. She redefined the possibilities for athletes navigating global sports, personal identity, and the business of fame. In the aftermath, however, a wave of criticism emerged. Some argued she betrayed the U.S., others questioned her loyalty, and many dissected her financial and national choices as if athletes' lives were mere commodities. But to frame Gu's decisions as a moral failing or betrayal misses a larger truth. The system itself failed her. The real issue is not Gu. It is the market, the sponsorship ecosystem, and the cultural infrastructure that could not retain a rare talent like her. Punishing her is not just unfair. It's a distraction from the structural flaws that need urgent repair. The illusion of loyalty. Athletes are often portrayed as symbols of national pride, expected to exhibit unwavering loyalty to one country, team, or brand. Yet Eileen Gu's case exposes the fragility of that expectation. Born in the United States and raised there, Gu has dual cultural roots: American by birth, Chinese by heritage through her mother. When she decided to compete for China, critics painted her as disloyal, ignoring the nuance of her personal narrative. This criticism is rooted in an outdated idea that talent is property of the nation rather than a human capacity shaped by personal, familial, and cultural context. The irony is stark. Gu was raised in the U.S., trained in the American system, and yet was critiqued for choosing a path that aligned with her own identity and opportunities. This is not a story of betrayal. It's a story of misaligned incentives. The U.S. sports ecosystem, and particularly the freestyle skiing market, failed to offer her the combination of financial security, career growth, and cultural resonance that she ultimately found elsewhere. Blaming Gu is like blaming a river for flowing toward the sea when the channels upstream were blocked.